try to do a little presentation here. The idea behind this is to go ahead and perhaps, just perhaps, be able to give you all a little video on how we go ahead and deal with making some really cool staffs, actually make an occupation, make a living out of your garage. So how many of you would like to know how to take antique hardware, mainly things that you don't see very often? For example, this is a spindle. It's a black walnut made in probably 1895. It was all cut by somebody, just about the size of a staff. Now, if you took this and combined it with something like this, then you create, potentially, a walking stick. Now, there's lots of kinds of walking sticks, admittedly. But I'm going to show you how you could be getting these from me and putting them together to make walking sticks that you could then sell and make a living to support your family. Now, from one of the cameras, you'll be able to see a whole selection of knobs right here. And I want to show you things that I think are interesting because you can actually use them to make these different types of walking sticks. So, as an example, here's a walking stick using a brass egg-shaped knob. This one in particular has a lot of weight to it. If you were to go ahead and smack somebody with it, break out their teeth, whack the side of their head up, it's actually quite a weapon in that respect. But for all intents and purposes, it really is just a walking stick. Now, this is because I might want to take it with me into an event. I might want to go downtown. I might want to go out someplace where I need a walking stick that I can bring into action quickly. Now, most people, no, you don't need one. You don't really need one. But if you decide you want to have one, why not have a nice one? So, there's lots of ways of doing that. If you want to go out fancy to the ball, or if you just want to go, here's another beautiful tip. You can see this is actually another nice doorknob set upon another nice spindle. There's lots of different kinds of spindles, so you don't have to be restricted to this. You could have something that's more along this line. Crystal, leaded crystal, hand cut. This was cut in the 1890s maybe. Very unusual piece. The knob itself is worth hundreds of dollars. Makes a nice decorative knob. A little ring on there so if it falls it doesn't hit the glass so easily. Nobody's going to think that you're going to beat them up with that. But I guarantee you, if you hit somebody with the front of this sucker, their teeth are going to break before that glass breaks. Their skull's going to break before that glass breaks. But that's not what you take it for. You take it because it's a beautiful walking stick to take to an event. And if you have to have it because you're crippled, you didn't bring your wheelchair, well, nobody's going to be able to take it away from you because it's actually a functional handicapped person's tool. Now, there are times you may not be able to get away with that. And there are a lot of different ways you can make these. Some of these sticks are actually pretty small, lightweight, so you can make them dainty. And then you can also take two of these spindles and put them together and create a mighty fine walking stick. Now this one's got them already built into it, made in 1895. This makes a great walking stick. It's balanced. Balanced, of course, means that you can go ahead and do things with it that you might not normally do because it's nice and balanced. This one has a nice porcelain top on it. Actually, these were decals they had put on top of the porcelain knobs. They're made out of earthenware. And then you take it, basically screw that on top, put a hole directly in here, we epoxy them together, and you have yourself a beautiful walking stick. Very little expense. This is a little grander version in the sense that it has a little killer spike right here in the sense of a decorative element. It's actually made out of a steel hard, hard, hard. Rip you apart if it gotcha. You don't want to snag on that. And then this is a brass knob on the top. It's a brocade rice pattern, circa 1800s. You can see on this one, both sides, the bottom and the top are decorated. This also happens to have a little more weight on it. Has a plate, keyhole plate. So while this one is extremely decorative, extremely pretty, it's a little heavier. And then the bottom is also equipped with a, see that little spike there on the bottom? Yeah, that's for instant lobotomies. You know, if somebody's really giving you a problem, thunk, thunk, you kind of mess them up. So this is probably a little bit more of a weapon than most people are used to carrying with them. You can actually put a rubber cup on the bottom of that and limit that so that if you do have to have a need to hit somebody with this end or with this end, you can do it without any trouble. Not that I recommend hitting anybody, but if somebody's going to give me a problem, I'm going to guarantee you this spike will penetrate concrete. Now, on a lighter note, you might just want to take something a little more obvious, sort of old-fashioned. And you can actually take this one, and if you decide you wanted to, not that everybody wants it, you take this, put a little hole in the top of it, put your little doorknob in there, and guess what? Gets up a really nice walking stick. Now, admittedly, this one might be a little more obvious than the average walking stick. You might want to paint it, make it pretty. How about purple, oranges, kind of like that? So this is the example of, you might get in there, you might not make it through the inspections at the local portal for getting on your trip to the next trip up to Mars. We did a little skit. I'm going to show you this skit. So this is just one example. Now, on the knobs you could put on there, there's quite the selection. And if you decided you wanted to go ahead and convert your own little staff, cane, you can always just get knobs from us. Some of them can be as plain and simple, made out of beautiful copper or brass. You can get some that are crystal. I've got all kinds of knobs. In fact, the beauty of it is that if you really decide you want to do something like this, you don't actually have to buy all the knobs. Here's another nice piece. You can see how this has got a nice bottom to it already made. You put your pin in the bottom, the top. Basically, it just has to be round. You chop it off a little bit further back, and you can put the knob right on there. And that one's actually set for a taller person. So if somebody had the knob, this would work for somebody 6'4". Just as well. Now, as far as the possible knobs, here's a few. Now, you can see decorative purple means it had manganese in the mold when they made the glass. And the manganese exposed to the sun caused it to turn purple. You can see lightweight knobs. They're just going to be cast on the front. Early knobs are solid, like this. Has a nice nickeling on the edge. Really nice. Leave a nice set of lines. This one is actually cast iron with a brass band on it, for example. So there's lots of options, and I have hundreds and hundreds more. But the idea is you can take those and then combine them. And if you want that way, be able to take something with you for safety, just in case you're not allowed to carry in my favorite. That's a really fine one, but it just doesn't get past the gates usually. We tried it. We did a little skit just to kind of show you what might happen if you wanted to get on there. We also figured out this one won't fly either. Makes a nice staff, but it just wasn't going to get past the guard at the airport. So we decided we wouldn't be able to take this. This is actually designed to be a hand and a half, but really, it's rather obvious it's a weapon. So after you get done looking at all the stuff that you wish you'd have taken and wish you'd have made and wish you could have done, they rejected your old African standby. Sometimes these are just hard to fit into your luggage, but they're actually pretty effective, but again, who needs this on an airplane? You don't need anything like that. I thought about whether they let these on because they're smaller. No. Smaller. Okay. No. So, after a while, my favorite. Yes, I like this one. I actually like a staff more, but it's really hard to get a staff on the plane and justify it. They're going to stop that normally. Much more effective tool, but for the most part, this is my favorite. So, if you all want to go ahead and look at getting into having some of the staff bottoms, these are walnut, I think a pine, butternut, oak, poplar. And so what you do is you can go ahead and pick a wood, pick a height, make sure it's long enough. So something like this is petite, lightweight, or you want one that's heavier. This would be for a shorter person possibly. And so what you want to do normally is you measure how far it is down from your wrist to the floor. And then you're going to want to have a little bit of chance to lean on it. So a little bit higher than right at your hip. So you go ahead and lean on that puppy. Use it, because you want to be able to use it so it looks like you need it, just in case you do need it. So, thank you so much, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this little skit on how you can convert a typical old spindle off your railing into, well, of all things, walking sticks and canes and emergency weapons if you need one. So, if you have any questions and you want to get one of these, you can get a hold of me through my websites, tinytexashouses.com. That's Tiny Texas spelled out, houses spelled out, .com, or tinytexashouses.substack.com, where I'm going to be publishing this, along with a YouTube channel for Tiny Texas Houses. And honestly, I'm even kind of on Facebook still, under the nom de plume, Darby Medic. So, join me if you can, and let's go ahead and continue to learn how to go ahead and turn the best of the old stuff into the best of the new stuff. Salvage. Salvation through salvage. No imports, no toxins, no plastic, no trees cut down, no coal burned to make all these wonderful aspects of how you can use the old stuff to make new stuff. This could be on the door just like those. And you can do wonderful things like this. These already exist. Get yourself a wow letterbox. W-O-W, Woodsman of the World. But it also means, wow, I got some good letters. So, these are just some of the things you can play with. I'm going to go ahead and be putting more of them up. But if you would, check back, share. If you would, comment on the bottom. It's a rare thing, but I'd love to have them. Thank you so much. And if you can, join me on my sites. And every once in a while, drop a comment, drop a heart. I'd appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. Bye. Do-do-do.